You're on mute, Amanda.
Yes,
God,
I'm on
that's a good
mute.
start,
Can
isn't
you hear me
it?
now?
That's a good start. You know we're
Oh, my
going early in
life.
the morning,
I'm
don't you?
I didn't even hear the music. I don't know what I'm pressing this morning, James. Right, let's start again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this Gooner planet of ours. Nothing has gone right for me IT-wise this morning, so I do apologise. Hopefully, we won't have any issues now. Um, Welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Unfortunately, Chris is unwell, so unable to join us on our pre-Christmas podcast. So it's going to be a little bit hit and miss today because Chris was going to host and I was just going to sit here and do all the comments. Anyway, morning to James. How are you, darling?
I'm very well, thank you, Amanda. How's yourself?
Not bad, thank you. Not had the best week. Stress wise and everything. And last night did not make it any easier, did it, James?
No,
Um,
it was not straightforward, but we'll get into the bones of that.
I was hoping, to be fair, um, that it was going to be a very happy show. And weirdly, even though we've got 3 points, and even though we're top of the tree on both leagues, it, it's a weird feeling, isn't it, James? So we're going to head into it. Yes, and hello, everybody in the chat room, and good morning to Bright Oni 6007, watching all the way from Zimbabwe. Fabulous. How lovely. Everyone, give us your questions. We're looking forward to talking to you. We're going to talk about, obviously, Everton last night. We will talk about the upcoming Haribo Cup, as I call it. And we're going to be talking about our Christmas fixture list. So, James, your build up to the game, how was it? Was you confident? Was you worried? Obviously, we played Wolves and it wasn't a very convincing win. Did you think yesterday was going to be a bit more convincing?
I don't know if I thought it would be, but I definitely wanted it to be because we'd had the week, not exactly off, but we'd had a week to prepare for this
Yeah.
game. We should be well rested. We've got players like Trossard coming back into full fitness now. It felt like we could put out a really strong 11 going into this game, which we did, but I didn't think it was going to be straightforward. It's Everton playing Arsenal at their brand new stadium. They're definitely not a bad team. Let's have it right as well. They are a decent side. But we had to win this game. We absolutely had to, and we had to respond to what was a really poor performance against Wolves, despite getting 3 points. And I think, though it wasn't perfect yesterday, it was night and day between what we saw yesterday and the Wolves game. So that's definitely a positive. I would have liked a few more goals. We had opportunities to score more. It's not going to be as simple as that going away in the Premier League. So yeah, happy with the 3 points. And I suppose in answer to the original question, I just didn't think it was going to be a whitewash, and it's kind of how I expected it to go. But I just would have liked a few more goals at the end
Well,
of it.
funny you used to say that. Your prediction was Everton nil, Arsenal 1. So you sort
Oh
of got that spot on.
wow,
Yes. So you know I
that
write
that, that
everything
tells you
down to
just how much
memorise
attention I
podcasters.
paid to my predictions.
Well, I said Everton 1, Arsenal 2. I thought it'd be a bit more of a high scoring game. Um, One thing I did notice yesterday that we'll get into was I could not believe how silent the Everton fans were. I could actually hear the trainers, the coaches, and the players. It was so bizarre, James. It was silent. I think they woke up about 65 minutes. The difference from the Hill Dickinson Stadium to Goodison Park is vast. They would have been on us from minute one. It would have been very, very loud. And I just don't know if they honestly believe their players had a chance um, to even beat us. But we didn't come out, did we, James? Looking like that we thought we could beat them at the beginning.
No, and I think it was important that we started this game well because Everton were missing a lot of key players in this game, whether they were away at AFCON, suspended, or missing through injury. I think an Everton side that maybe had the likes of Gay, Dewsbury Hall, and Dyer, that could have potentially tested us a little bit more. But they didn't really carry much threat, and we were kind of working our way into the game. I thought that first half was a little bit tepid. Would have liked to have seen a bit more from us. But yeah, this time of year, maybe it's not going to be as
No.
straightforward as we want it to be.
I think what we'll do something different. Let's just go all to the comments and stuff because everyone wants to talk and ask us things and say things, but we already cover it, and then the comments are not, in time. So, Matthew, Matthew D'Souza, 8891. Thank you, Matt. I have felt underwhelmed by our away performances in the league. I went in expecting a statement win and a backlash after Rice gave the boys a tongue lashing last week. Now, interestingly, when I was at the Emirates, as we were leaving, I watched Rice go down the tunnel and I said to Carl, this is a bit odd. All the players are on the pitch and he's just gone down the tunnel like he's got the ump. Obviously, I didn't know what was going to ensue later, but I'd actually saw, because I sit opposite, I thought it was a bit odd. Who's he got the ump with? Thought nothing of it until obviously we'd been reading that maybe him and Odegaard had words with the players. I mean, what's your take on that?
About Declan Rice giving the players a bit of a talking
Mm,
to. Well, it was needed, and I don't think it was just him. I think Odegaard had a few words as well, but someone just needed to give the team a bit of a shake because in that game against Wolves, there were too many players that just were basically like passengers, or were just retreating into themselves a little bit too much. I'm not going to single individuals out because it was just way too many of them that I felt were responsible for
mm.
that happening. And we just needed to be reminded of who we are and the ability we've got. There's absolutely no way we should have been in that position against Wolves where we're kind of hanging on. It kind of felt like we were trying to get through against Bayern Munich or Real Madrid or Barcelona, where we've been absolutely battered by those teams in the past. But we're playing bottom of the league at home. And I don't want to go back to the Wolves game. That's done. We got the 3 points. It was horrible. It's over. But we needed to just, yeah, like I say, just be reaffirmed of what this team is capable of, what we should be doing, and just not to be overawed by what we're fighting for. I know obviously there's so much on the line, and every game that goes by, there's just so much stress and pressure, and we're almost at the halfway point in the season now, and the games aren't quite as you know I remember at the start of the season when we were beating Leeds, was it 5-0 or 5-1? And then we had Forest and we were beating them 3-0. And all those games just felt like really nice days out. Every single one is
Yeah.
incredibly stressful now. And that's how it's going to be between now and the end of May. So buckle yourselves in for that. I don't think there's going to be any easy wins.
No, and there's no easy goings, and it's interesting actually. I was talking to someone on, I still call it Twitter, sorry, on Twitter about this, about the fact that every single team plays so differently against us than they do against other teams. And I think we just need to go into training every week and learn how to play against the low block because that's all we're seeing. That is it. And what frustrates me a little bit, and actually someone's mentioned this, and I want to go into this straight away, was I can't say your name, but thank you. Morning all. It wasn't nervy, but think Ode is still recovering and needs someone behind him telling to bugger off and not coming deep. I kept saying to Cole, why is he in defence? Why is he playing so deep? And then a couple of other people were saying, oh, it's because, Zubimendi and Rice are playing forward and he's, but I don't want to see him that deep, James.
No, me neither. And it's not a new thing with Odegaard. Like he does do this a lot. Like he picks up the ball between the centre halves, drives at the opposition, and then just moves through the pitch into those attacking areas. That's just like a trademark of his game. I'm not sure that's going to change. But the problem with that is now we've got someone like Zubimendi who is the kind of conductor in that area. It kind of makes his game a little bit redundant. And I think we just need to just say to Odegaard, look, just stay in that final third of the pitch. Just wait for those
Yeah.
moments. And Zubimendi can take care of the rest because Zubimendi, I don't think it was his best game yesterday. I don't think it's any coincidence that happens when Odegaard is dropping into those areas. And Zubimendi, if you watch him, there were moments where he was popping up on the left an awful lot just because he wanted to get into some space. So I think his areas are really being affected by what Odegaard is doing. And I think people are rightly asking the question as to whether Odegaard and Zubimendi can play in the same team because if they're just going to be taking up the same areas, it's just not going to work. I like that midfield three, Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard. At the start of the season, I'd have said that's our strongest midfield, but now we've actually seen it in practice. I'm starting to question whether it actually is. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I want to know where Eze is going to play. you know, it's a wonderful problem to have. It is not our problem. It is Mikel's. However, I think listen, we all do. The three of us absolutely adore Odegaard. We never say a bad word about him. We just do. But I'm starting to wonder if he's not fitting in with what we need at the moment, which is a little bit unfair because I absolutely love him. Um, I think that he's I don't know. Sometimes I think he's slowing the game down, but I'm just not sure if you know what I mean. I'm not sure if he's the actual issue, or as someone has just put here, because I want to put this, or the tactics are the issue. Where are they? Sorry, my computer's a little bit. Someone said in the chat room about them being stifled. The tactics. Let's get to it. Um,
I don't. I think it's a bit of both,
I'm
really.
trying to look. You talk.
I think, yeah, I think it's just needs a little bit of tweaking. You've got to remember Odegaard's not being back in the team that long. We've actually
No.
played a lot of football this season without Odegaard being a part of the setup, so we've got used to playing in a way where Eze has kind of been a mainstay in the sides. And I want to see the Eze that played against Newcastle and was unbelievable in that game. But I do think there is a bit of a trust issue with Arteta with certain players where he doesn't necessarily fully
There we go.
believe they're the guy in these significant away games. Whereas Odegaard, he's going to muck in, dig deep. So yeah, I think long term we're going to see as a start on that. Keep swapping between Eze and Eze. I never know what to say. I'm going to go with Eze. On that left-hand side, I think we're going to see Trossard get phased out at some point. Not because he's playing badly, but because he's 31 and coming to not the end of his career, but he's playing the best football, ironically, of his career at Arsenal right now. But if he comes out, Eze comes in, and I think that'll be the natural progression for him. And that was kind of where Eze started for us. On that left-hand side, where he got the assist for Victor Gyökeres against Nottingham Forest, and he looks really good. So I think that I don't see him being a central figure in the team. I still see Odegaard occupying that space and Eze being on the left.
So Ronnie was the question statement. Our whole attacking play is being stifled by the tactics from our coach. Do you believe that?
No, sorry, Ronnie. I get why you could probably see it that way, because it feels like a bit of a scrappy 1-0 win yesterday. But we could have also scored another 3. That's the other side of the coin. Like, we hit the post twice. Saka had a chance where the ball was cut back to him, and I don't know how we didn't score there. That really good moment where I think it was Timber might have cut the ball back to him on the right-hand side, and he was in acres of space and just couldn't find the back of the net. So on another day we win this 4-0, but that wasn't yesterday. And we're not playing particularly well, and a 1-0 win away from home where it doesn't look that great on paper, it's kind of indicative of how things are going at the minute, because we weren't at our brilliant best. It wasn't as fluid as we wanted it to be, but we're sat here saying we could have scored more goals. Wolves, we can all say, was really poor. And then we could have done better in the games against, say, Villa, Chelsea, etc. So we're in a bit of a rocky patch, but we know what this team is capable of. We've already had some really good wins this season, and we're picking up points when we're not playing well. But in one of these games coming up against even Palace in the cup, as well as Brighton, Villa, a nice fluid statement victory in one of those would go a hell of a long way, I think.
Yeah. And just going back to the point I made, and I was a bit, I thought this was a bit strange. Everton had a tifo. I don't know if you saw it before the game started. It was a massive tifo that looked similar to sort of how we did ours. But I would have expected that against Liverpool, not against us. And I thought it was a little bit strange, James. And then SYC 2543 went, Everton even had a banner for us. Teams open up for City, Liverpool. Wolves played their best against us just to lose to Brentford yesterday. And that's what I was trying to say. Everyone plays differently against us, don't they?
Yeah, but can you blame them? I can't.
Well, why are they not doing it against City? Because Haaland, their goal difference is more than ours now. So why are they not doing it against City, but they're doing it against us?
I don't think it's a case of they're just saying to City or Liverpool, just come at us and we'll open up for you. I don't think it's going to be. I think you really need to watch those games to kind of make that assessment. I'd like to look at how Everton would play against the City side, but you got to remember Everton were missing key players yesterday. It's not like they could go gun ho. I think if they'd have had the likes of Ndiaye, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, players that are so integral to their attacking game, they would have gone more gun ho for us, because there were points in that game where Everton had us under the cosh a little bit. And I think if they had better players available to them and better options off the bench, because the players they brought on, let's be honest, I think they weakened them. And I think they made it easier for us when they made those substitutions. I think if they had, like I say, better players on, we would have seen them push more men forward and open up spaces for us. But they just didn't have that ability on the pitch. But obviously, teams are going to try and play well against us. They're not just going to. I think a lot of people want us and want teams to just let us win. That's not going to happen. Like, we're top of
No.
the league. We're arguably the best team in the country. A team like Everton, with all due respect to them, or even Wolves are a better example. Wolves getting a result at the Emirates would have been monumental for them. You know, a draw for them would have been fantastic. You just saw how Rob Edwards celebrated on the touchline and how he reacted after the goal. I truly believe that could have been something that could have, I don't want to say kick-started their season, because Wolves are as good as down. No offense, Wolves fans. But that could have been something that gave them a little bit of impetus to then go on a run. So that's why beating Arsenal is big for teams, you know, and you can't knock Everton for trying to generate an atmosphere. So it's going to happen all season long. We're
But they
arguably the
didn't,
best team in
though.
the country.
That's the thing, James. There was no atmosphere. Honestly, there was no atmosphere. I kept commenting on it, going, they're all just sitting there, and I'm so shocked. And of course, it's a new stadium. It's harder to get that. They were so close to the pitch. Goodison was rocking. Goodison reminded me of Upton Park, and obviously the London
I
Stadium is a
hated
bit like that.
Goodison. Do you remember when we used to go there around between 2010 and 2015? I hated going there. I remember there was a game where they had Lukaku and everyone thought striker, striker, striker. But for this one game, they put him on Nacho Monreal and he just tore him to pieces on the right-hand side. And they seemed to batter us every time we went up there. We've had some terrible results at Goodison Park. So personally, I'm really glad that we've got that
Of
place out of
course,
the
for
way.
us, it's much better because it didn't feel like the intimidating atmosphere we normally get. So I just want to go to, I can't even read it because of the screen thing today. Matthew, Jamie Redknapp on Sky said that Man City are playing the type of football where players have a smile on their face, whereas Arsenal, it all feels too much like hard work. I think I understand what Matthew's trying to say, but City are not under any pressure. They're just winning games in second place, no pressure on them. The pressure is so much on Arsenal because of what's happened the last few seasons, James, isn't it? Being top, not last season, sorry, the 2 seasons before, being top and then coming second and having the bottle label, which is ridiculous. It's nothing to do with bottle. So there's no pressure on City. They can just keep winning. Us, the pressure is on because the results haven't been, the last minute at Aston Villa. You don't know that still affected them. Honestly, it can affect you. Wolves wasn't great. Everyone was expecting 6-0, So I understand that. Why I agree with Radnap. It does look like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, these players are under enormous stress and pressure. I'm not saying that's an excuse. And we know what's on the line. Like we've been here a good few times now. We're experienced, but we've not got over the line. And these players feel like they have an obligation to do that, most likely. Whereas City are probably playing like we were in the 22-23 season, where we weren't expected to be there. I think, like, going into the season, I think you would have been silly to have not expected City to be there. But because of how they started the season, not particularly well, going away to Brighton, losing, getting battered at home by Spurs. I think we all looked at City early on and thought they're not up to much this season. Like
I did.
we don't really need to worry about them. It's Liverpool. And it's not worked out that way because they've just gone on a massive winning run. Players like Nico Gonzalez, who's kind of coming from Rodri, are really starting to flourish. They look like they've got a settled team now. Cherky's back from injury, playing really well. I look at their 11 and I think that's actually a really good team. Like, it's a really exciting team. They've got a lot of really exciting, talented players in there. Foden's back to his best. Haaland is just an absolute machine. They're going to push us all the way. I mean, obviously they've had some. I'm just looking at their results now. They've had some games that you would expect them to win. West Ham at home, Sunderland at home, but then they've struggled in games against the likes of Fulham, Leeds, but they've still gone on and won those games. The last really tough game they had, Newcastle away, exactly a month ago, they lost that 2-1. They beat Palace 3-0 convincingly, but all the stats said that Palace should have got something from that game. But that's what City do. They punish you, they're clinical. And maybe that's where we could learn a bit of a lesson from them, because we need to take the chances that are kind of put to us on a bit of a silver platter. But these next few weeks, or this next week, in fact, is going to be really telling, because they've got next 2 weeks, they've got 3 games coming up where I'm hoping they'll drop points.
Who are they playing, James?
They've got Forest away on the 27th, Sunderland away on New Year's Day, and then they've got Chelsea at home on the 4th of January. So, there's 3 games there. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they won all 3. That wouldn't surprise me. But there's a glimmer of hope there that these aren't the easiest of games. And if they could just drop a couple of points, that would help. But obviously, it's a double-edged sword, because we've got to do our job. And Brighton at home, Villa at home, and then Bournemouth away, these aren't necessarily easy games for us either. And then it's Liverpool at home on January 8th. Like, we've got to win that game, but they're starting to come into a bit of form now.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Yes, it's tricky. It's tricky, Amanda.
Although I don't think they were that superb against Tottenham yesterday. Tottenham were appalling. So, I watched a bit of that and got bored and stopped watching. Okay, let's just go back to the beginning of our first half. So, listen, you know how I feel. I feel like Trossard and Martinelli are super subs. I'm happy if neither of them start, if I'm honest. Trossard, I know you're going to say I'm being a bit unfair because of his start to the season was, fantastic. Since he's got injured and come back, I don't think he's as what he was. I do feel like I'd rather see... I'm going to call him Eze. I've always called him Eze all his life, so I'm going to call him Eze. Eze should start, maybe. But I wasn't disappointed with the team. I was pleased Gyökeres was starting. I was. But when you look at the bench, the options are phenomenal. So I just want to go to that a little bit, because there was something from Simon that was really interesting, actually. Simon said, have we created a problem by having so many options and trying to give everyone game time? Nordgaard must be pretty fit at present. So it's a wonderful problem to have, but is it as wonderful as we think it is?
No, because he doesn't actually seem to use the players that he's got on his bench a lot of the time, unless we're in like really comfortable positions. And that frustrates me a little bit, because I think Noni Madueke is a prime example. Played so well in that game against Bruges, scored 2 brilliant goals, has to be said, and he's not played a single minute since that game. He's not come off the bench in games where, against Wolves, against Everton. I think we could say, like, he is a player that can stretch your position, create something out of nothing, and we've not seen him. And that, to me, is a bit of a frustration. And when Arteta, like in the pre-match for this game, something that really frustrated me was he said, I've just not had the options. So, of course you have. Against Wolves, you didn't necessarily have to play Ben White in that game. You could have played Lewis Skelly. And you've got plenty of options up top now. I know they're just still coming back from injury, but you've got Jesus, you've got Gyökeres, you've got Madueke, you've got Martinelli, you've got Trossard, you've got Wanyeri, who doesn't even get a look in now. I think we've got plenty of options, and it is a frustration to me that unless we're winning games like 2 or 3-0, he doesn't seem to bring these guys on, and I think that's where there's a bit of a trust issue. As much as it's great to have these guys on the bench, I don't believe he has full faith in the likes of Madueke, Wanyeri, even the likes of Eze, to see games out if we're 1-0 away from home. And I don't think it's any surprise that he went to someone like Martinelli, who is more of a shut the game down, work hard, be relentless, close down that left-hand channel. I just think that says to me he would rather go down that route and shut a game down than try and be a bit more expansive. And look, I get it when you're away from home and you're protecting a 1-goal lead, but why not necessarily make those substitutions earlier and go for the kill by bringing on someone like a Madueke? Like, is this Madueke really that bad at not tracking back? I know it's not his trademark, but he's not terrible at it.
Just go back to Eze, and then we're going to come back to Madueke. So John said, morning all, Eze is not a number 10. He always played on the wing for Palace.
Not true.
Right. Okay. Oh, you argue with John then?
No, it's not an argument. When he was at Palace, he has played a lot of games on the left wing, but his prime position and why he did so well at Palace is because they play in that kind of 3-4-3 formation where they have 2 number 10s effectively, or 2 8s, whatever you want to call them, playing behind Jean-Philippe Mateta. And he was that guy on the left, and you had Sarr on the right and Mateta up top. And it was a great, spearhead of an attack. But he just had to occupy that kind of left-hand corner of the pitch. So he was like a hybrid 10, left 8, left winger. That role just suited him so well, suited his game perfectly. Obviously, he's going from playing in such a different position now at Arsenal,
Mm.
such a different demand on what he needs to do. And it doesn't help that, we're chopping and changing him from, one day he's playing as a number 10 or a right 8, and then suddenly he's going into left wing. Like, he needs a bit more of a defined role in this team. And I think that left-hand side of the pitch is the closest he can be to where he was at Palace. Because if you look at Trossard, he drifts in all the time. So it's not too dissimilar to what he was doing at Palace. So I think play him on that left-hand side, Ødegaard through the middle, Saka on the right, and then have your pick of who it is up top. Gyökeres, Jesus, Havertz, Mikel Merino. We've got options there, and that's the beautiful thing. But we need to find something that works, because right now we've got all these players, but I don't think we know what our best front four is.
No, I know. And also, it's interesting because quite a few people are agreeing with you and quite a few people are agreeing with John. So we just want Eze in the team, play like he did against Spurs. I mean, that was just fabulous, wasn't it, to watch? Right. Okay. So the Trossard, Martinelli, the Madueke, that's what I wanted to get to. You know how I felt day one. I told you all off for criticising him, and I'll say it again. I think there's so much more to come from him, but there was something about. Sorry, I think I've lost the comment now. Is about that Saka needs some competition, and Madueke could be it, and we should be playing Madueke as much as we're playing Saka. What's your view on that? And how do you think Saka's been the last month or so?
Well, I mean, he picked up another man of the match performance yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he kind of dragged us through the game against Wolves. So he's been our best player recently. It's got to be said. Declan Rice, we've got to give a shout out to him yesterday, because he kind of single-handedly ran that midfield. He was that good. Like, just everything he did. And he should have had an assist, really, because he put it on a plate for Trossard, who I don't know how he hit the post. Like, he's got to be scoring that chance. So he was brilliant yesterday. Good to see him back to his best. But yeah, Saka's been great. And obviously there's competition there now with Madueke, but he's just not had the chance to do what he does best. I would have liked to have seen. I've got no problem with Saka coming off yesterday, on 70 minutes and Madueke coming on. Like, we're in a position now where that shouldn't be an issue. Or someone said, let's play Madueke on the left. I've also not got an issue with that. Like, if you want to take Trossard off and then put Madueke on the left-hand side, no problem. Let's do it. Let's give it a go. I'm excited to see him against Palace. I'm not sure if we're going to touch on the Palace game, but I'm really looking forward to that, because I think we're going to have a lot of exciting players going into that match.
Okay. Right. So people are saying that Rice was man of the match, really. I sort of get where they're coming from with that. He's just a complete warrior, isn't he? He's just, I don't know what we do. He's the most valuable player on our pitch. He really is. But I tell you who is just as valuable, and I think we're noticing this, is our Gabriel. Honestly, how much do we miss him in defence? And does anyone think out there that Saliba plays much better with Gabriel? And maybe he's not as good as everybody thinks. I don't want to be controversial with Saliba. I feel more confident when Saliba's pairing up with Gabriel. I think it makes him a better player, but I'm interested to see what everyone in the chat room says, and interested to see what you're saying, James.
Yeah, for me, Gabriel is the bedrock of the sides. If it was a choice between having Saliba fit and having Gabriel fit, I would pick Gabriel, because I feel like Gabriel is more comfortable with, say, a Ben White next to him, or a Mascara next to him, or even a Yuri Timber next to him. I just think because he's the most senior figure in the team now. Like, the crazy thing is, like, the oldest player in that defence yesterday was 24. Like, that's just mental to me. Like, for a defence, that seems really, really young. It's easy to forget someone like Calafiori's 23. Hincapié, 23. Yeah, exactly. He looks a lot older. But then you've got, Yuri and Timber, Saliba. They're only 24 as well. So you need that experienced captain-like figure in the team that knows exactly how we play. He's been here for ages. I still thought Saliba was really good yesterday. I thought he was excellent, and he's kind of taking that senior authoritarian figure in the team now. I think he was. Let's be honest, we were quite fortunate not to give away a penalty on another day with another referee.
We're
I
going to
think
talk
that's
about
given.
that.
I think that's definitely given. But I think the defensive performance was actually good yesterday compared to Wolves, where it was a little bit panicky and we just invited pressure. We were under the cosh towards the end of the game, but it was nowhere near as nerve wracking. I didn't feel like the goal was coming at any point. There are a couple of set pieces, but they never really gave us any threat. But Gabriel coming back is huge for us. And between now and the end of the season, we need to keep him fit. He has to stay fit because he's so
Yeah.
important to
Yeah.
this team. Both boxes, because he's so big from set pieces. And as much as I've loved Hincapié, I see a few people have said his distribution needs work. I agree with that. I think he can be a little bit erratic with his passing at times, but so was Gabriel when he first came into the team.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Hincapié's defensive game is fine. I don't think he's bad at all defensively, but it's just he's a little bit rough around the edges when it comes to playing out from the back, finding that perfect pass. He wants to get it out from his feet as quickly as possible, but that will come with time. He's 23 and we didn't even consider shot on target yesterday. So, we can't have been doing that bad defensively.
No, I agree, but I get what Julian's saying. Welcome to the show, Julian, my Twitter friend. Saliba was all right, did a job, but feel there's always a dodgy moment waiting with him. And I feel like that unless Gabriel's with him. Now, I remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago that Saliba was the Rolls Royce and Gabriel was just coming up. And I'll never forget a conversation I had with two people, I think last summer. I think it was this summer. And I said, Gabriel is better than Saliba. And I was arguing with an Arsenal fan and a West Ham fan. They said, You don't know what you're talking about. I said, I do know what I'm talking about. I watch them every week. I think they were like that. I think Saliba was there. And I think Gabriel's gone like that, if I'm honest. I love Saliba. This is not about not saying anything detrimental about him, but I do feel that when he's with Gabby, he's a better player. That's just how I feel. And also, as what Rancid saying, everybody looks bad in comparison to Big Gabby. He's the best centre back in the world, which is not fair on Hincapié because I don't think Hincapié's that bad. I just think we're so used to James, the most exquisite defence, aren't we? When you've got Timber, you've got Calafiori, you've got Gabriel, you've got Saliba. That's our back four, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's any coincidence that yesterday we had a much more settled back line. It's much more along the lines of what we're used to. It's just quite a simple change. Gabriel out, Hincapié in, but you've still got Timber, Saliba, and Calafiori in there. I think you've got to give credit to Calafiori as well. I feel really safe with him in the team. As much as I love Lewis Skelly and I want him to play more, just something about Calafiori. I just have no worries with him. And touchwood, he's been fit all season long. I don't feel like there's a mistake in him. He's up there with Timber as players that have been dribbled past the least. So I think that's a fantastic sign. You've got to give props to him this season. He's been so good. But yeah, here's to Big Gabby coming back and hopefully the clean sheets start again. But got to be said, we looked good defensively last night.
We've had
we can't
two in the last two, haven't we? Clean sheets. So that. Oh no,
two in the
sorry.
last two. No, we haven't.
No.
Come on, Amanda.
Wolves. I thought
Proceed
Wolves was
to Wolves.
1-0.
We should have had a clean sheet.
Listen, I've got brain fog. That's the age of me. It should have been a clean sheet. I felt like we won that 1-0. We didn't. We won 2-1, obviously.
We have still only conceded 10 goals this season.
Yeah.
And we played a lot of different defensive lines. Look, I hate to go back to that Wolves game, but we reshuffled that defense way too much. Like we started with Hincapié at left back. We moved Saliba over to the left-hand sides. We played Yuri and Timber at centre back when we didn't necessarily need to do that. We could have been a bit more subtle with the changes we made in that game. It doesn't help that we're constantly rejigging it. And we'll see another back four, no doubts about it, on Tuesday night against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I hope rotation is the name of the day. Right, let's
just
go.
I don't know. Sorry, man. I don't go into that Palace game. I actually don't know what he's going to do with the defence because I just don't. We just don't have the players to rotate that much in that game. Lewis Skelly will come in, but other than that, what can you really do to change the back line apart from maybe bring Norgard in?
Let's hold off on that first. Let's go to what you're calling now. You think, right? Let's just go to the Gyökeres incident because I thought it was a penalty before it was a penalty. He was shoved in the goal. Is that not a penalty nowadays, James?
I think he's got to be stronger there. Personally, I don't think it's a penalty. I think he's just got to be a little bit stronger. it wasn't that much of a push. I mean, the Joel Linton push on Gabriel at Newcastle a couple of seasons ago was a
Don't even
push.
start me.
Yeah, no, I can't go back to that game. But no, I think Gyökeres has just got to be a hell of a lot stronger in that situation.
So Rancid AFC thinks no, Gyökeres dived. Interesting.
I think
I
he
don't think
felt the contact and
what
decided
went down
in that.
too a bit
Yeah,
soft
I
for
think
you.
he decided in that moment, I'm going to go down.
Okay. So then comes the most weirdest thing. Well, saying weird, I hadn't seen the Sunderland Newcastle game. Um, I watched a highlight last night. The reason I'm touching on this is because of I don't know the guy's name. I can't Wolfenstein or whatever his name is. He plays for Newcastle.
Baltimore's.
That's it. You say it. He heads into his own goal, a header that a striker would have been proud of in his own area. What he's doing there, I don't know. Yesterday, I felt just as shocked that a guy would jump with both hands, a defender, James, jumping with both hands and handballing the ball, obviously. I mean, obviously, there's no discussion. We know that there's not anybody in any rival fans anywhere has said that that is not a penalty because that is a penalty. You can't discuss that. But when the referee is called over to the screen, which is the right thing to do, why did it take him six times to watch what you only needed to watch once or possibly twice to see what he'd done? And why did he do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really silly from O'Brien. I don't know why he's got his hands up in the air like that. Because even if the ball goes over his head, it's not like it's going to cause any real danger. But I mean, the ref should have spotted it in real time because if you look back at the replays, he's got a really clear line of sight on that happening.
Mm,
But look, he's given it. It's worked in our favour. It was stonewall penalty. Really
yeah.
silly from O'Brien. And I was really happy that they gave the penalty to Gyökeres because he really needed that and he took it very, very well.
Okay. So just because I've starred some things, were you mad nervous when Victor stood up for that pen? Yes, because I thought Erdegaard was taking it, to be honest. I was so nervous for him and for us. Could you imagine, James, if he'd have missed that?
I don't want to.
No. So Gentile, yes, I was nervous when he did that. Um, Matthew said I was definitely nervous for Victor standing over that pen. Was you nervous or not, James? I can't remember what you just said. Sorry.
I would have been nervous for anyone that took that penalty, whether it was Saka, Erdegaard, Gyökeres, because we just, again, it's like we go back to what is on the line here and you need to get that goal, especially the first one. Like the first goal is so important. But I had confidence in him to do it. Like if there's one thing Gyökeres can do, it's convert a penalty. Like he took it really well, even if the placement isn't that great, and the placement on that penalty wasn't the best, but the power is just going to beat the goalkeeper. It reminds me of the penalties Jamie Vardy used to take. Just power, back of the net. Goalkeeper rarely stands a chance if you just put it on target. And it's good for him. Like I thought his all-round game yesterday wasn't perfect, but it was better. Definitely better than it was against Wolves. Like he came down the left-hand channel a bit more. He was a bit more involved. Got into better positions, but there's still that feeling for me that he needs to be doing more to get into the even more dangerous areas. I don't think it's a service issue. I think he needs to be reading the game a lot better. But look, this is a goal away from home. He needed it. I think
Yeah.
he'll get a rest against Palace. Maybe bring him on with half an hour left. There's opportunities coming up. We've got 3 home games in a row. I think he's got to score in one of them. I don't know about you.
Yes, I mean, I'd play him Tuesday night. Absolutely. Is it Tuesday night, isn't it? And I
I
want to
would
just
if it
go back.
wasn't for Jesus coming back. I would.
No, 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 I'd play him. We need to keep playing him. There was one incident yet. So I'm very much a very big protector of Gyökeres. I argue with my colleague Dan at work every day. I think he does it to wind me up now about Gyökeres and got given time. But there was one incident yesterday that the ball was passed to him and he messed up. And a few minutes later, Arteta subbed him. Now, I don't know if it's anything to do with that. I don't know. But I wasn't impressed with that. And I'm always honest. I love Gyökeres and I think he's going to come good. But I think he does. And you're right. He does need to give a little bit more. The service is an issue. and I think yesterday was a little bit better. But what I will say is the way the boy, this is from, sorry, I can't read it. Is it Matthew? My eyes. The way the boys congratulated Victor was like when they congratulated Havertz. They know he's feeling the pressure. Did you notice that? Everyone went over to him. It was lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this could be a big moment for him. For Havertz, I don't want to say that penalty was a turning point because it's not like, suddenly after that game he looked amazing. It was when we kind of found his role within the team. Like for the first 4 or 5 months of Kai Havertz at Arsenal, I wasn't impressed. Like, I didn't think he was particularly good. But then the start of 2024, wasn't it? When we moved into striker and he was kind
Yeah.
of getting goals like one in two, like on a regular basis, and he just looked so much more involved. That's what we need to do with Gyökeres. We need to find how best to play him. And someone's put it in the chat that his hold up play just really needs a lot of work. But I don't think a hold up play is his aspect of the game. Really, I don't think that's playing to his strength. If we're expecting him to go back into the opposition, holding the ball up and then passing it and laying it off to the likes of Saka, Martinelli, etc., that's a Havertz game. That's a Jesus game. That's not a Gyökeres game. Gyökeres is best when he's kind of constantly moving, making those runs, and we've got to thread the needle and try and find those passes to him. So it's a very different way of playing. But if
Yeah.
we can unlock that, then we've got something there. But Phil Costa of the Arsenal Vision podcast made a really good point that Gyökeres is just going to become an option for us. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. If anything, I think it's quite a good thing. But when Havertz is back, we've got 4 options that we can play at any given time: Havertz, Jesus, Gyökeres, Marino. And you've got to put Marino as a genuine option in there because he is one for me at this point. He's offered so much as centre forwards. So he falls into one of those options, and that's going to be good for us because there are going to be different game states where we need a Gyökeres and different game states where we need a Havertz or a Jesus. And who knows, maybe we'll see Mikel Marino used even when we've got the other 3 guys fit. So I think that Gyökeres would be more of an issue if we'd have paid twice as much for him. But the fact we've paid 56 million for him, I know obviously that's still a lot of money, but it's not like going to be absolutely detrimental for us if he doesn't explode. But I said at the start of the season, 20 goals across all competitions, that's fine. And he's on what, 7? Yeah, he's kind of doing what I expected. I'd like a bit more, but I think he'll get 20 goals across all comps, and I'm fine with that.
Okay. I just want to go back to this. Now, I think you and I are going to disagree here. A game of 2 penalties. So he blasts it, puts it in the back of the net. Everyone's happy. We're thrilled. We're 1-0 up, and it's Gyökeres. So the second half saw a penalty incident with Saliba, and I don't know what Everton player it was, who went down like a sack of spuds in my eyes. Your view on it, and then let's see what the people in the chat room are saying about whether they think Everton deserved a penalty or not.
I think they'll feel hard done by, and I don't blame them for it. It's the exact same situation that we had a couple of years ago when we went to Aston Villa. Douglas Luiz went through Gabriel Jesus, 2 players going for the ball. It's a 50-50. I feel like it's harsh in the sense that if both players are going for the ball and then you catch the man, that should that be a penalty? I'm not too sure, but we've definitely seen it given. We've also definitely seen it not given. So I think it really falls into that category of 50-50. It's quite subjective. If I was an Everton fan, I'd be debating that to the hilt, and I'd be saying we should have got a penalty in that game. But as it so happens, unfortunately, an Arsenal fan, and we've not had that go against us. And I think we can feel quite fortunate about that. But I'm not entirely sure I believe that sort of challenge should be a penalty. It's kind of the exact same as when Saliba followed through when 2 players were going for a header and we had a penalty given against us in the game against Brighton. Was it took out Pedro? And they're both going for the same ball and he just happens to catch the man just because, that's how his body is falling. I don't feel like incidents like that should necessarily be penalties because there's zero intention there. So it does feel a bit harsh, but it's the way the game's going, unfortunately. They give
Yeah,
penalties for anything and everything.
but they don't. And as we said against Villa, but however, I agree with Emerson. Amanda both kicked the ball at the same time on the contact. How can that be a penalty? Honestly. But Gemini's right. You see softer ones given. I don't think it is a penalty, I'm afraid. I just don't. I think 2 players are going for the ball. They kicked it at the same time. and that was that. I actually couldn't. I couldn't think of it any less. But this is what we love about football. It's all about opinions and everything. Let's go to some of the questions. Right. So we've done the game of two penalties. Okay. Unique James says it is the system, guys. It doesn't work, and it is down to Arteta. Our performances have not been great, and Everton should have had a penalty from Saliba, so he believes it was. Our luck will run out eventually, guys. Do you believe that? I don't think we've been that lucky, to be honest.
No, I don't think yesterday we were lucky. I think we were a better team and deserved the win. Like, not to repeat myself, but we could have scored a lot more goals in this game. We had the Saka chance. Trossard hit the post. Supermendy hit the post. On another day, couple of inches to the left or right, and those are goals. And we're coming away with a 3-0 win. Performance wasn't fantastic. Let's not sugarcoat it. But it's not like we were terrible, and we reduced Everton to not having a single shot on target. But like I've already said, we've got 3 home games coming up, and we need to go back to playing what we saw at the start of the season. A bit more courage, a bit more, take the handbrake off, as we were saying earlier on in the season. Just have a bit more fun with it. And at home, the Emirates is going to demand a performance. Players will have pressure on them from the fans. There's no doubt about it. We don't want to see what we saw against Wolves. We want to be treated almost. We want to be entertained. And that starts on Tuesday night against Palace.
Okay. Anything else you want to say on the Everton game before I go to a couple of bits towards the end? Because what we're seeing, extreme Mirko 621, the last 10 minutes are so stressful. We need to kill games off. Why are we not doing it, James? Why is it that we're sitting there stressing over every second that's passing? Because at 75 minutes, I'm going to Carl, we've got 20 minutes left here, and actually we had 21. If we get another one, I kept saying this, if we get another one, it deflates and we're done. 2-0, I'm never that comfortable, but I would have been comfortable last night.
Yeah, this is the thing, and it goes back to the substitutions debate we were talking about before. I think if he brings on an Eze or a Madueke, just someone that can create something out of nothing when the opposition is trying to break you down, and you've got those guys at the other end of the pitch to create something, that's where you potentially get that second goal. But because he doesn't necessarily trust those players in those game states, that's where he's going to turn to the likes of Mikel Merino, Gabriel Martinez, the guys that slow the pace of the game down a little bit more and bring more control rather than more of those maverick moments. But that's frustrating, because does that mean we're only going to see the likes of Madueke or Eze in Carabao Cup games, or well, not necessarily Eze, but someone like Madueke or Wanyeri is a better example? Are we only going to see these guys in dead rubber Champions League games or Carabao Cup games, or when we're losing 1-0 or 2-0, which hopefully isn't going to happen anytime soon? But when we're losing games, is that the only time we're going to see them? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I want to see more of these guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, okay. So 1-0, convincing would have been better. I mean, Trossard was what, an inch away from that being, that was the most beautiful bit of football we've seen in a couple of weeks. That from the whole way through the pitch, right down to Trossard, curls it, wasn't enough curl on it, hits the post and comes out. And then you're starting to think, are we going to win this? Or is it going to be another Villa? Or is it going to be another Wolves where they're going to concede? Because we do feel sometimes, James, we go into panic stations, don't we? And we invite pressure on by sitting back, sitting so deep. Why are they doing this? Do they not believe they can actually go and kill games off?
I don't know. I think it's just the pressure that's getting to us. Conserving what we've got. The longer that game goes on, and the closer we get to the full-time whistle, it becomes more about seeing out what you've got rather than trying to push for more. And with each minute that goes by, that feeling grows and grows and grows. So it feels like something that happens quite naturally. But I would say yesterday I wasn't as concerned as I was about Wolves. The Wolves game felt like we were going to concede, whereas yesterday I felt like we were so in control. Even when they had the ball, it just felt like we were really resolute. Raya was really commanding his box. Like, every ball that came in, he was first to it every single time. And Everton just posed no real threat. So that helped. So even though we sat deep and we saw out the win, there wasn't any concern really on my end. Obviously, when you're watching the game, your heart is beating at 200 miles an hour. But looking at it in hindsight, there was nothing really to be worried about. But other teams, better teams, will pile on more pressure in those situations and create better opportunities if we're just going to let them have the ball.
Let's just discuss Zubimendi because it seems to be a lot of people in the chat room are concerned about this. Okay, so Matthew, again, thank you for your brilliant comments today, Matt. As it's Zubimendi's first season in English football, I worry about him hitting a wall when he's not getting rested, either during a game or from the start. Are you concerned or not?
Not yet, not really. I mean, Zubimendi has played a hell of a lot of football for us, and he plays all the time for Spain as well. I think sometimes in these tough away games, that's where he struggles a little bit. He's not quite as commanding as I would like him to be. And like we said before, with Erdegaard coming back into the side, he seems to inflict with, or conflict, should I say, with Zubimendi's game. So I think that midfield just needs tweaking and it needs
Yeah.
to work because, like that comment says, Erdegaard is occupying all the spaces that Zubimendi wants to be in, and that's not helping him at all. But I'm not worried about him, not in the slightest. I think he's been one of
No.
our best players this season.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of an unsung hero is old Zubimendi, isn't he? Okay, so we end it. We take the points. We get out of the Hill Dickinson Stadium. I'm still going to say Goodison. I know that. And we end up going back to top of the league. And I'm bored of saying this, but you don't win the league in November or December. Nice to be there for Christmas. We are top of the league. Your thoughts now. Let's turn to Palace on Tuesday night. I'm not going. You are going. So what are you expecting? Because there's people here. Let's have a look. We've got right, unique. We need to win the Carabao Cup, get our players to taste the trophy, and that will possibly push them on to win more trophies. We must beat Crystal Palace on Tuesday night. So, with that in mind, you're talking about the defence, and there can't be many changes. But who are you going with in midfield and up front? Who would you like to see?
I would really like to see Jesus up top with any combination of Madueke, Eze, Wanyeri, and probably Martinelli as well.
Which is what Carl Ferns just said. Yeah.
Yeah, and any of those guys. I think Wanyeri really needs to play because he's barely got a look in over the past couple of months, really. And he started the season playing quite a lot, and now he's gone back to just like pity minutes here and there, really. So Wanyeri has to start this game. I think it'd be quite telling if he doesn't start this match. And then I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Norgard at centre half again because I don't really know what else we can do in that defence. You know, bring Lewis Skelly in, bring Norgard in, but then you're still going to have to play most likely, or you play Saliba, Hincapié, Lewis Skelly, and actually wouldn't be shocked to see Salmon play at right back, and I'd be quite excited about that because obviously the club have so much faith in him, and this would be a good opportunity for him to start. But if you're going to do that, you have to play someone like Saliba alongside him, I think. And then you could potentially take Saliba off if we're winning the game, put Norgard in at centre. Look, there's options there. I think Arteta will pull a rabbit out of the hat that we're not quite expecting, whether that's Norgard at centre half, whether that's Salmon at right back. In midfield, I don't want to see Rice or Zubimendi anywhere near this game. I'd have one of them potentially on the bench. But then, yeah, I think you're going to see Marino in there. Norgard potentially in there if he's not playing at centre half. And then, yeah, Wanyeri got to be in there, or Reza. But yeah, it should be an exciting team. Like, we're going to see all the players that, you know, I would put into the ballers category. All these guys that just go play really like cage football almost. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I wouldn't. It's a tough game to go to. I understand why you're not going to it. Like 2 days before Christmas evening game.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think this is going to be an exciting game because I think we're going to see a lot of the players that we don't see in the Premier League. So I'm excited about it. And to be fair, I feel really lucky to be going to the Emirates, 3 times in the space of a week, pretty much. Maybe I won't be feeling lucky when we lose all 3, but here's hoping that doesn't happen.
Gemini saying home advantage should see us through to face the blue mob from West London. So let's just do a prediction on that one. So Palace, what are we going for, James?
I'm going to go I think it could be a crazy game. I'm going to go 3-2 to Arsenal.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go 2-1. I hadn't really thought about that for the prediction. Have we got? Is it Brighton Saturday? Or is it? It's Brighton,
It's
isn't it?
Brighton,
Saturday.
yeah.
Let's see what they're saying in the chat room. Arsenal 2, Crystal Palace 0. Seems like Emerson's going for penalties. 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, 2-1. So everyone's quietly confident. Karen's saying the Arsenal 3, Palace 1. Let's hope, because it would be lovely to get through that as well. And then we have a double header, won't we, with Chelsea in January, I think.
I think, yeah, one of the games is in January and the other one's at the start of February, if I'm right. But yeah, if we get through, I mean, the schedule's going to be mental, absolutely mental.
Yeah, that is something that people were querying before. Just want to go back to something before I head off, because this is something that I'm really disappointed about. Um, I love our away fans. I'm praise them every single time, and this is definitely not the whole of them. There was a small minority last night singing about "Feed the Scousers" when we have our own food bank that we, support at the Arsenal. We're better than that, James. I don't want to hear it. I think it's outrageous, and I think that you need to stop that chant, and I'm disappointed in the little minority. I don't know if you heard it, but then what happened straight away was Everton put a support line up for a food bank on their screen. I don't know if it was coincidental, but I'm really disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, look, poverty is across the entire country, really, unless you're lucky enough to live in Kensington or Mayfair. Look, North London, the whole of London, really, is no exception to that. So yeah, it's not on. Let's be honest.
So, so Carl said, my friends at the game told me at halftime there was only a small section of the away fans doing that chant, and some of our fans shut them down, as well as the boos from Everton fans. So I'm really proud of the people that did that, because I would have been one of them. And again, I love our away fans, and I'm definitely not tarring them all. It's a very small, idiotic minority. So I'm going to apologise on their behalf to Everton, because that is disgraceful. Absolutely. Right, let's go on to, let's see what we've got question wise. Let's have a look. Right, okay. So going back to something I probably said half an hour ago, Amanda, I take your point, but if we're playing with weight on our shoulders in December, do you not worry about Feb and March? No, I don't. I don't worry about that, because we should have, touch wood, if no one else goes injured, our team back, our squad back, our Havertz, everybody back. Gabriel, one of the most important players in the team, back. I'm not worried, because you don't win or lose really the league in December if you're up in the top four, do you, James?
No, I mean, we're top of the league at the minute. That's great, but we've been top of the league at Christmas a couple of years, and
Yep.
it's not worked out for us. But I hope with Gabriel coming back with, I mean, we've got no long-term injuries now, have we? You would
Oh,
hope White and Mascara are back.
touch
Touchwood,
wood.
very much so. Havertz should be just around the corner. You know, if we can get him back, best case in the next week or so. But you know, any time in early January, I'll be happy with that. Gabriel back. These are two very important players for us, and one of them we've not seen at all this season. So Havertz, to use that cliche, will be like a new signing. And then, yeah, if we can keep everybody fit, get White Mascara back, you know, towards the end of January, we'll be in a good place. Obviously, it's easier said than done. I think we've got to anticipate that more injuries will come towards the end of the season. That's going to happen, unfortunately. But we're, the squad is in a good place, and there should be no real excuses not to see good performances, good results, and hopefully we'll get over the line. But it's not going to be quite as simple as that, and it's going to be a stressful next 6 months, really, I think.
I think, I'm just looking at I didn't realise Arsenal Brighton was 3 o'clock next Saturday, which is great. But then
It
we go
is
to 8:15 on a Tuesday night before New Year's Eve.
disgraceful.
8:15. It's so,
It's
I
shocking.
mean, for you and I, we don't live that
No, we'll
far,
be
and we
home at
live
midnight.
far enough. Right, exactly. We won't be home till like midnight. God knows those people that have to travel all up and down the country, trains, they couldn't give a toss about us, could they? They really couldn't. So that's a tough game. Villa at home, but it's going to be lively because of what's just happened. I don't remember ever playing a team so quickly, a quick turnaround like this. But that's good. And then we
No,
got
I
Bournemouth
think the
away.
atmosphere will be good for that one as well.
Yeah, I
Because the
do.
only good thing about a late kickoff is, especially between Christmas and New Year, where I suppose the majority of people aren't going to be working, is that everyone's going to go into that game. They'll have had a good few beers, and that place should be rocking.
Oh, I think it will be. I think it will be. But Bournemouth away, half 5 Saturday on the back 3rd of January. I think that's a tough one, that one. But we will be back in between all that. This is our like little pre-Christmas show. Right. Unique wants to say, panel, can you discuss Ben White? I think he's done and finished. I think it's a little bit unfair. I think it was unfair that he played 4 straight games, personally. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I mean, in looking back at the time to that Wolves game, I was quite happy for him to start because he's barely played, and I just wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't considering just how little football he'd played before, and now he was getting his chance in the team because he has been fit for a long time. He's just not been getting a look in. You know, he was getting 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of games. Like I don't know what his stats are in the Premier League, but he's barely played at all. Like he started against Man United on the opening day, and since then he just didn't start again. Really, purely because he got injured in that game, and then just couldn't get back into the team because Timber was looking so good. But I think it's harsh to say he's finished. Like he's 28 years old. I don't think it's helped that we've run him into the ground in previous years. You know, he's played in games where he's been injured and played through the pain. That's going to catch up with you towards the not the twilight of your career, but at 28, you know, he's definitely in that stage where he's got to be looking at, you know, the not the. I'm making it sound like 28 years old. Like I'm 29, and it makes me feel very old when I'm talking
Up.
in these terms. But I don't think he's finished. I think that's silly. I think it's just a case of we played him too much, and it's just, you know, coming back from an injury where he's not played at all really. Um, I'll be interested to see how we manage him when he comes back because Arteta said it's only a few games. So let's say that probably means 6 weeks. But let's say he's back in a month's time. You know, we've got to be a bit more careful with him. I'd like him back for Portsmouth if we can do that and get him playing in that game.
Every other game maybe, or even coming on as a sub, but
Yeah,
not straight
but
games like
he
that.
was
I
class
don't
when
think
he
he is.
played. He was
He
so good
played
when he played.
he plays so well with Saka on the right as well. Right, Simon. Our Simon, question. Jesus. Jesus, Havertz and Gyökeres are all fully fit. Who starts from mid-January onwards?
Havertz. If we're assuming they're all fully fit, I'm talking about like not bedding Havertz in. I'm saying like if he's ready to go, playing in his pomp, it's Havertz.
What, and you're dropping Gyökeres, yeah?
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Sorry,
Okay.
Jokeris.
Okay. What does everyone else think about that in the chat room before I go to some questions? Because I don't want to drop Gyökeres. I don't want to. John's saying Havertz if ready, but he's after going to get match fit, isn't he? He's going to take him ages, I reckon. I reckon we'll be seeing him for like 10 or 15 minutes. It'd be lovely to see him. It's been a bloody long time, people. It really has. Rancid saying Havertz is our best striker. Okay. Okay. John, so you can only pick 1 points against Brighton or defeat Palace. I understand what you mean. 1 win, I think he means. So Brighton win or defeat Palace. Hard one because I've always been. By the way, Merry Christmas. My jumper says someone asked. Um, what are you going for, James? A loss against Brighton or a win against Palace?
I'd rather take the 3 points against Brighton if that's what the question is implying.
I think so. I'm with you on that. As much as I want to win a trophy, I'm with you on that because it's much more important.
Oh, has Amanda frozen?
Have I frozen or am I back?
No,
It
you're
went a
back.
bit.
You're
It
back.
went a bit weird. Sorry,
Oh
that's not
my
bad
god.
for me though. 1 hour in and I've only frozen once. Um. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Okay. Simon saying, we're Arsenal, we play to win every game, of course. But we were asked the question, Simon, if we could only win one. Win for me, yeah, Brighton. Brighton win. I think we're all on that same page. So talking to Brighton, doesn't look like we're going to have anyone back, does it? Apart from what we've got at the moment, and please God, no
Well,
injuries.
maybe Gabriel. Maybe Gabriel will have it.
Oh, I thought he was out till
But I know.
early
I think.
Jan.
I think he'll be. I don't think we'll see anyone. I'll be surprised.
Okay, darling James, Brighton prediction.
2-0 Arsenal in that one.
How Brighton doing at the moment? Sorry, I don't know because that's going to go.
Inconsistent. Very inconsistent. They seem
Okay,
to
so
leak a lot of goals.
I'm going to do the same as Palace. I'm going 2-1 because I think we're at. I can't call it next Saturday. Depends who he plays Tuesday night, isn't it? Let's have a look.
Yeah, Brighton are really inconsistent form.
Oh,
Drew with
Mohamed.
Sunderland yesterday, lost to Liverpool, drew with West Ham, lost at home to Villa, beat Forest away, beat Brentford at home, drew with Palace. Yeah, they're they're the epitome of inconsistency.
Okay, we're going for the scores. It seems like everyone thinks we're going to beat Brighton quite well as well. James, anything else you want to say before we head off on our Sunday and I end the show?
No, just wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas. It's not been great, but we've won 3 games on the spin: Bruges, Wolves, and Everton yesterday after that defeat to Villa. So not been pretty, but we're getting the job done. And here's hoping we see a really good win in the cup on Tuesday night. And then let's keep the positivity going, guys. We're gonna do this.
I do feel like though that we've not been like as negative as some are thinking in the chat room. John, come on, it's Xmas, we're top of the league. Let's enjoy the moment. We are. It's just the football's a little bit hard to watch at the moment, but we are top of the league. Carl's saying top of the league at Christmas. Enjoy it for now. Absolutely. Enjoy every moment. That's for sure. I just want to say that Santa is a gooner. Never forget that at Christmas time. We want to wish you from Chris and James a Merry Christmas with all your families. We're not going to wish you a Happy New Year yet because we will be back at some point next weekend. Have a wonderful time with your families and friends. Big hugs from all of us. A win at the Emirates on Tuesday night, a win at the Emirates on Saturday, and it's going to be a fabulous Christmas. So from all of us to all of you, and I'm just going to put some of your Christmas comments up and so everyone can see. And also everybody that is not watching this live, if you could press hype on YouTube, I don't really know what it all means, but it helps. And if you could rate us and please press like when you leave, it would be fabulous. Merry Christmas to all of you. Now I'm ending the show, so bear with me because I don't know where I have to go. James, I don't know where I
No, you want me to do it?
just do it. And I'm
Yeah.
going to practice on another day because we could be here all day and we need to go. So from us to you, always Arsenal. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.